Good day, class. So today I will be discussing your activity number 6, which is about multiple switch break statement. Okay, but before that, let me just give you some example of switch breaks that are nested or programs with multiple switch break statements. So I have here this example in which it will allow us to enter the ID number and then it will ask for the password. Okay, but this one is using the switch. This is nested switch break statement. Okay, so the ID number here is 500 and the password here is integer. So if you have noticed, this was declared locally. The variables here are declared locally. And this variable here is what we call global variable because it is declared before the main. Okay, so just to discuss this program. So if you have noticed, there is a switch here for the ID, and then it will test or it will compare if what was entered is equal to case 500. If that is true, then it will allow us to enter the password and then it will switch again. If the password is equal to case 000 and if that is true, then it will print welcome dear programmer. Otherwise, it will say incorrect password. Okay, so let me just run this so that you will see. Okay, so it's asking me now to enter the ID. So example, I entered a different ID. So it will say incorrect ID and then it will prompt me to try again or X to exit. So if I want to try again, I just press any key and then it will rerun again. So it will ask me to enter again the ID. So let's say I'll enter the correct ID. And then if I enter the wrong password, it will say incorrect password. Okay, so again, if I enter the correct ID and this time I enter the correct password, so it will say welcome dear programmer. And then if I want to exit, just type exit and then it will terminate. Okay, so this is the program for that. Okay, now I have here another program. This one is if I would like to enter the month and the day, and then it will print the equivalent words of the month and day. Okay, so let me run this. So it's asking me to enter the month and day separated by space. So let's say 5 and 12. So the date is May 12. So if I'm going to try again, let's say 13, 33. So that is invalid because our months is just from 1 to 12 or January to December, and the dates are just from 1 to 31, the maximum. Okay, so if I enter the correct, let's say, but beyond, so it's still invalid. Okay, so let's say 12, 25. So the date is December 25. Okay, so if I'm done, just type exit. Okay, so actually in that program, you could use the if else, but the problem in if else is that it will you will be able to get this very long program. Okay, but with the use of the switch break, it will be minimized to a couple of lines only. Okay, so here, let me discuss this. So these are my global variables. So it will test first if the numbers that you are entering is within the range. So making sure that the days are not negative values or the days are not more than 31, and the same also for the months. It should be one this way, greater than sakto siya, okay? So it should be 1 to 12 lang. And if this is true, then it will print invalid. And if you have noticed here, I have this statement go to X. So it means if you see this, it will jump to the value X. And here is the X. Okay, so it will not perform the other statements after that because of the statement go to X. It will jump here. Okay, and then perform the rest of these statements here. Okay, but if this is false, okay, so by the way, the X here is also declared as an integer. Okay, now if this is false, then it will proceed here. Okay, so it says there the date is, and then the switch, the first switch will happen. Okay, what is M? M is the month. Okay, so if the month is 1, so it will print January. If 2, February, and so on. Okay, so it's okay to type this from 1 to 12 because it's shorter. 12 cases is nothing, okay? But how about if there are more than 12 cases, like in the days there are 32 days or 31 days rather. So just to make it shorter, I have this, okay? So if the T here is for the tens and the O here is for the ones, okay? So to get the value of the tens, but there are if there is 1 10, so it means that's 10. If there are 2, that's 20. If 3, 30. And then for the ones, if you see this, that is the modulus operator. It means the remainder. Okay, so if there is a remainder of 1, okay, it will switch to the O. So that is now 1. Okay. If the remainder is 2, then that's 2 and so on. Okay. So that's why if I enter for the days 31, so it will go to the case 3 here for the tens and case 1 for the O. So it will print 31. Okay. But how about 19 to 11? Because we cannot say that is 10-1, 10-2. We don't read it that way. So that is a special case. So you have here a special, you have to test first if the days are within 11 to 19. And if that is true, it will perform this. So it will zero the tens and the ones here because it is no longer needed, and it will just perform these cases here. Okay, so that's what this program is all about. So let me just show you this one again, so that if you want to try it on your okay. So let me discuss this for multiple. Maybe some of you are asking, how about the flowchart and algorithm? That's a very good question. So I'll just take this particular codes and show you how the flowchart and algorithm works, okay? So if you can see, there are 2 sets of switch here, switch T and switch O, okay? And this is the corresponding flowchart for that set of codes only. We're not yet talking about the previous codes or the other codes in that program, just that particular, just this program, okay, just these codes only, okay? So this is the equivalent. So if you have noticed, we start with the, what they call this, the computation of T and O, and then it will test, it will switch to T. So it will test if T is equal to 1, if true, it will print, and so on, okay? And then if this is false, all of this will proceed to the switch O, going back here. So if you have noticed, if this is false, it will still perform the switch O, okay? So that's why all of this will go here. And then it will test if O is equal to 1, and then it will print 1. If not, it will test again if it is 2, and so on. Okay, and all of that will proceed to this next step. Okay, what is the next step here? Okay? That is to print a period. Okay, so that's why even though the O here is still, example, if this is false, it will proceed to the printing of the period. Okay, if one of here is true, after the printing, it will still proceed to the printing of the period. Okay, so how about the algorithm? So let's say this is the first step. So this is the algorithm for that flowchart alone. Okay, so first it will solve the equations and then it will test if p is equal to 1. Now if this is true, it will print 10 and proceed to step 4. But what is step 4? That is the testing of 0, O is equal to 1. But if it is false, it will do all the steps here. Okay, so it's just one step because it belongs to one switch. Because remember, if this step 2 is true, it will just print 10 and then we'll proceed to this one. And the rest will never happen. Okay, that's why they belong in one step. And the same also with this one, the switch O will also have one step after the testing. So it will test first if O is equal to 1. If this is true, it will print 1 and proceed to step 6. What is step 6? That is the printing of the period. Okay, and so on. So you just have to discuss what will happen on that switch. Okay. Okay, so now going back to your activity. Okay, so this is your activity number 6, which is about multiple switch break. So again, we have the same criteria. So take note of this: appearance, contents, programming skills. So again, if your program has some errors, then points will be deducted here. Okay. Before I forget, in the flow chart, if you have decisions, guys, do not forget to write where is the flow for the true and where is the flow for the false. Okay, you cannot just leave it without any notes there. Where is the true, where is the false? So you have to put it there, true or false, true or false. Okay, if you have a decision, there should be a note there where is the true going to, or which direction is the false going to. Okay, now let me go back. Okay, so going back, so again, do not forget your name, your stop code and dates. All of that belong on the first page, okay? And on the second page, so the objective for this activity is that you students will learn and understand the functions and applications of a cascaded or multiple switch break statement. And for the instruction, you have to create a flowchart algorithm and a program that will allow you to enter a number from 1 to 10,999. Then it will display its equivalent in words. Negative value will be an invalid input. And of course, if it is beyond 10,999, there should be an error message, okay? And again, there should be an option to run the program again. Okay, so this is the sample output here, okay? And do not forget to put your output in proper order. You start with the flow chart. Next is the algorithm. Then after that, the codes. And then after that, your screenshot. And do not forget also to write your reflection, which is not less than 200 words. Okay, so let me show you what the program looks like if it's being run. So example, if I enter a negative value, it will give me an invalid input. If it is beyond 10,000, so let's say 11,000, it's invalid. If I type 10,999, that's 10,999. If I enter 10,000, let's say 10,115. If I enter 16, only it's 16. If I enter 5, it will type 5, and so on. Okay, so if you're done, make sure you could put any statement that you like here. So if you want to type Q to exit or type Q to quit, it's up to you. The instruction, I mean, you could put any instruction as long as it's working in your program. So in my case, just X to exit. So if I type X, it should exit, okay? The problem in the other program, they would type X to exit, then if I type X, it's not exiting, or it's not, the program is not terminating. So there's something wrong also with the program. Okay, so be careful with that, okay? So that is now your activity number 6. So that's all for now, class. And again, if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask me. Okay? So God bless and have a good day.